The recording. I'm going to share my screen.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. I didn't say hi.
Okay, so we're going to get started. Business Communications, Module 6. Make sure everybody is on mute so that there's no background noise, and if you have a question, unmute yourself. So the things we're going to cover tonight are the LinkedIn profile, which is discussion 6.1, the final presentation, and the resume, which is due a week from yesterday. All right, so LinkedIn. I shared a couple of things for you. I shared a fact sheet on LinkedIn that actually is prepared by St. Pete College. So use that fact sheet. I also provided you on Monday with a checklist. You're going to be using that checklist when you review each other's LinkedIn profiles. Career slides that I'm going to go over tonight, and I posted today. There's some information on LinkedIn, which I will go over tonight. What you need to do for 6.1 is prepare or revise your LinkedIn profile. You're going to partner with the same person you partnered with for discussion 5.2 last week, which was your draft presentation. You're going to work with that partner. You are going to share your LinkedIn profile, and then you're going to post a response. You're going to complete that checklist that was sent out on Monday for the partner. You're not going to attach it. You're going to cut and paste it into your response. You're also going to write a brief essay on improvements needed in your profile and recommendations that you gave to your partner for improving their profile. The good news is no peer replies. Once you post, you're done with 6.1. Any questions on 6.1? Okay, then I'm going to move to the presentation. For the presentation, you're going to implement any suggestions that were made in your discussion 5.2. You're going to use the checklist that was provided and the rubric, which was provided in the announcements on 4.20. You're going to review the slide presentation, which was posted in announcements on 4.13, and the live video that was posted on 4.16. Include your required slides and follow the slide guidelines. So, required slides. The title, the intro or agenda. You do not need both, intro or agenda. The intro is things like a fact, a quote. Agenda is the list of things you're going to cover. The content, which is not the paper. A summary, which if you used an agenda, you do not repeat as the summary. A question slide, which is basically for if the audience has questions, and it's just a smoother way of ending a presentation by saying, does anyone have any questions? Are there any questions? Time for questions, rather than just stopping. And then you're going to have a reference slide, which is in APA format.
Hey, Doc.
Yes?
With that other slide you just had up, I forget what it was. You mean a summary of the or what you're dealing with, right? Because that's what I did.
It's a summary of the presentation.
Oh, a summary of the presentation.
Yes.
Oh my Jesus. I mixed that up too. Oh God. I may have not mixed it up. What I did was, you know, things that are in my paper.
Then you probably have what you're supposed to have.
Yeah. Then I think I'm all right then. All right.
Okay, content. You're going to have one slide that's a brief overview of the company. Basically, I really think you have 5 slides. There's 5 required slides, and I basically think you have 5 content slides. So for most of you, this is a 10-slide presentation.
So
One slide for the overview of the company. One slide that talks about the need, the problem, or the business issue being addressed. The next slide would be the importance of addressing the need or the issue. Now, for many of you, that was already in your executive summary in your paper, so you don't have anything new to do.
Right.
Recommendations. You need to have at least 2 recommendations. And I don't want to see maintain the status quo. I want you to be doing something that is out of the box. That it, Chester, please turn off your microphone.
Sorry.
I want to have at least one that is something that you used critical thinking skills on, that you thought about beyond the obvious. So if, customer service is the issue that you're dealing with, a recommendation that says improve customer service doesn't say anything. How are you going to improve it? What are you going to do differently? If what you want to do is start a new line of business, make sure it's a line of business that makes sense to that business. Make sure it's something that is doable. I don't want you to be so far outside the box that it isn't doable. Let me give you an example. This is a different class, different assignment, but they had to come up with a unique opportunity for their selected company. And I was looking at the papers this afternoon, and somebody is doing UPS, and their unique idea was to make United Postal Service compete with Amazon by selling products. And my head almost exploded. How could they, and to become competitive in a year? It took Amazon 14 years to earn a profit. And UPS is going to do it in 1 year after Amazon is all established. It doesn't make sense. It's not doable. So you want to be outside the box, but not so far outside the box that it doesn't make sense. So recommendations is one area that some of you may need to look at. Some of you did a great job on recommendations and don't have to look at anything. And then finally, the desired results. What is it you want to have happen? Which would be the same or similar to your key success factors, which is one area that was probably the biggest problem in the papers, is that people did not have key success factors. They didn't have measures of success, or they weren't directional, like, improve this, reduce this, enhance this, eliminate this. So make sure that you talk about what you want the results to be. It could be things like, improved customer satisfaction, less customer complaints, more customers doing repeat business. All of those would be key success factors. So I'm just using customers as an example. This is all. You need your required slides, and you need your content slides. These 5 content areas, the paper had a lot more content areas. You only need these for the presentation. So some tips. The entire paper is not put into a slide presentation, and you certainly don't want to copy pages out of the presentation, out of the paper, and just put it into PowerPoint, because you're doing something different. This should be using the paper as a basis and creating a PowerPoint presentation. You're not writing in sentences and paragraphs. You're using bullets, following that rule of 6, which is 6 lines per slide and 6 words per line. Try to use a Microsoft Office template with a light background. Light background. It's very easy to change a background from dark to light. If there's a template that you like, you just click on another color background and you've changed it from dark to light. And of course, as I mentioned last week, you can create your own for the company based on the company colors. I showed you Coca-Cola, I showed you Google, I showed you McDonald's and Starbucks, I think. If the template, and this is one of my biggest complaints about the templates, if the template uses a serif font, which is squiggly lines, thin lines, sort of Times New Roman is the most popular, Garamond is another one. If it uses a serif font, change it to a sans serif font. Sans serif fonts are all listed in the presentation that I did last week.
Can I ask why that is? Because for the branding of my company, Healing with Heart House, it's a serif font. So you wouldn't want me to use the branding of my business, which uses a serif font?
You mean your logo uses a serif font?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the font?
It's Archer. It's a pretty thick one.
Okay, then if that's what you're using as the branding, go ahead. If it's a good bold
Like
font.
maybe just the title of it, and then the body would be a non-serif. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yes. You probably more than anyone understand fonts, and it's much easier for me to make a blanket rule since most people don't understand fonts, but
Yeah,
definitely.
that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I think I covered that one. Another slide. Balance words and pictures. Do not use all of one. All pictures, people have a harder time following. All words is boring. Clip art is not the greatest. I'm expecting wonderful illustrations from you, Krista. Is that too much to ask?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, good.
She has some awesome stuff. She's a designer. She's got.
I know, that's why I said it.
I know you know.
Do not use animation, do not use transitions. It increases upload time. And because I'm writing comments on your slides, I only put it in this view anyway, so I don't see the animation. So it's a waste of time and it makes your presentation harder to upload. Excuse me. At least a 20-point font on content. If you have to make a choice between the words being bigger or the pictures being bigger, make the words bigger. Make sure the words are readable. Pictures tend to be easier to see than words, so if you have to err on the side of one, it's bigger words. And don't put more than one idea per slide. If you can see down here where it says click to add notes, that's an area that you can add notes, and it's where you can also put your citations, down in that area. More tips. This is the hardest one. Do not read the slides, do not read a script, do not read notes. I can tell, even if I can't see your face, I can tell when you're reading. So please do not read to me. It is the worst way to present. For those of you who think that our president is a good presenter, look at how bad he is when he's reading.
Please forgive me. He has to look at his paper 5 times.
Well, and it's obvious he's reading, so that is not a good way to do a presentation. If you are adding the voiceover to these slides individually, which is, I showed you how to do that. It's the insert and then the voice or the little microphone looking thing or speaker looking thing. Make sure you're synchronizing your changing of the slides and your voice. Even if you are doing it in Zoom or MP4, make sure that your voice is synchronizing with what's on the screen. Sometimes I get presentations where the person does their entire presentation on the first slide. They never move their slides forward. I think they get so nervous they forget. So make sure it's moving ahead. Before uploading it to send to me, check your audio, make sure you can be heard. Detailed speaker notes, that's this thing right down here where it says notes, is your last resort. Only do that if you cannot manage to in any way add your voice to the slides. Zoom is an easy way to do it. Skype is an easy way to do it. Adding to each individual slide. So it shouldn't be that difficult to do.
Doc, if
If
we
you
need,
do speaker notes, you're not going to get the points for delivery. Go ahead, Chester.
Doc, if we need to stick though our like if we're talking about something and we need to put our source down there, we're gonna do a reference page anyways, but I'm just saying.
You can put your source down in the notes area, just
Okay.
so I see where you use it. You don't have to say anything about it in your presentation.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Reminders, you can use Microsoft VoiceOver, MP4, Screen-O-Matic, or record in Skype or Zoom, then upload to YouTube. It takes a little bit of time to upload to YouTube, but your presentations are supposed to be between 5 and 10 minutes. That shouldn't take too long to upload. The critical thing is, once you upload to YouTube, make sure that it's public, otherwise I can't see it. You can send me the link and I won't be able to see it if it's not public. Confirm that the upload time is no more than 5 minutes. If I have a problem with your presentation, I will send you an email and a Spark message on Monday, May 5th, so that you can fix the voice, re-upload it by May 6th. If there's no problem, you won't receive a message from me. It's only if there is a problem. I've actually had semesters where there was absolutely no problem, which is wonderful. And I've had semesters with a lot of problems, and I'm not sure what the difference is. All right, I am finished with the presentation. Are there any questions before I get into the other information?
May 5th is a Tuesday. I mean, just minor, but
Go ahead, say again, Lou.
that May 5th is a Tuesday.
That is, yes, okay. That is
Taco
correct.
Tuesday,
Yes,
Cinco de Mayo.
You're right. So it's May 4th. Thank you, Lou.
What?
On Monday, because you're sending them in on Sunday, on Monday, I will try to download all of them and I will send you the message on Monday, May 4th. Thank you, Lou.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes. Okay, so these slides are on career planning. I have slides on things that are not being covered. Once I get to that point, I'll see if anybody wants me to cover them. But this is what's on this slide set. It's got resumes. Those are the slide numbers. LinkedIn, feeling overqualified. The things that are not required for week 6 are networking, cover letters, interviews, and the fact that you might have had an interview but have no offers, and now what? If you want me to cover them, I will, or otherwise we can end right at feeling overqualified. So we'll start with resumes. Your resume is due on Tuesday, May 5th. That's where I got confused. Tuesday, May 5th, your resume is due. So resumes. The relevant information includes your education. You only need to put your GPA if you have no relevant experience. I honestly have no idea what my GPA is for any of my degrees, and I have 4 of them. No clue. If you do not have relevant experience for the job you're looking for, the GPA helps them look at you. But if you have good experience, I don't think you need your GPA. You need your experience. Yes?
I don't have any experience.
Then you need to use your GPA.
Okay.
You need any experience you have, any accomplishments, and any qualifications you have for the job you're interested in. The resume has a couple of purposes. Number 1 is to get you an interview. Number 2 is to stand out from other candidates. It helps hiring managers determine your qualifications and helps them structure the interview. And Krista asked me this question during the week. If you are looking at being self-employed, do not assume you don't need a resume. I have had lots of people who have been potential clients ask me for a resume or a bio. They want to see what you have done. So it's a good idea to have both ready to go so that if somebody asks you, what are your qualifications, You know, can I see a resume? You have it ready to go.
And try to keep it to one page, right, Doctor?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you are just starting out in your career, one page is enough. If you have got a lot of good experience, you probably can't do it in one page. Now, a couple of semesters ago, I had a student who handed in a 3-page resume, and he had absolutely no good experience, absolutely nothing related to a job. He had on there dog walking, all kinds of things that was like, oh my God, there's nothing on here that somebody would be interested in, but it was a very long resume. Now, I've been working for, oh God, a lot of years. So I have a lot of experience. I have 2 different things. I have a curriculum vitae, which is what I use for teaching.
What is that?
A curriculum vitae is what you use for teaching. I'm going to tell you it's 7 or 8 pages long, but it requires that you have on there publications, presentations, and all kinds of things that are not necessarily on a resume. My resume does not start when I started working. In fact, it knocks off the first 30 years of my working. That should give you some idea of how long I've worked if I'm knocking off 30 years. Because you don't want everything on your resume. And I'm going to show you as we move forward how you can put some things on that are great experience that you previously had, but you don't want to list. All right, so necessary categories. A summary of qualifications or a professional profile. Your experience and qualifications. Your education. I am not a big proponent of listing every single computer skill that you have on your resume, but listing the ones that are required for a job. At this point, I can't imagine there's anyone who can't use Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So to put that on your resume, I'm not sure it does much good, but if you've got special skills, definitely put that on. Any accomplishments or awards that you have, and certainly any special experiences that you have. Additional categories, things that can help what I call beef up a resume. Any volunteer work you've done, especially if it's related to the job you want. If you have something to fill in gaps that you haven't worked in a while, put that in. Anything you've done to develop your skills, special courses that you've taken, conferences you've attended, networking events that you've participated in. You don't want to overdo the networking events, but all those things can show a growth in your experience.
Hey, Doc.
Yes?
You know, like how you can be a president of something in the college, like a club or something? Can you put that down?
Yep, we're coming to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any projects you've been on. This is one of the best ways to beef up a resume is to get on a project team because that gives you new experiences. And so if you have project experience, put it on your resume. If you don't, try to get some project experience. Any language skills, if you're bilingual, it should be on your resume. What's not on the resume? An objective statement, unless you have no experience. The problem with an objective statement is looking for a position to grow and develop my skills. Oh, it doesn't say anything. It's nothing about what you're bringing. It's what you want from the company. And everybody says the same thing. So it has no real value unless you don't have experience. References. You do not put references available on request on a resume. They assume you have references. In today's environment, you can definitely leave off your home address on a resume and don't put a photo. If you have an unprofessional or outdated email, just get a Gmail account, and use your name. Don't use cute things. Also not on the resume, any hobbies you have unless it's relevant to the job. Why you left your previous job doesn't go on the resume. Any jargon or acronyms not widely understood. If a person has done a lot of things in one field and they're trying to stay in that same field, jargon or acronyms may be okay, but a lot of people don't understand it. And the first top people who tend to read a resume are human resources, and they may not understand it. So be careful of jargon and acronyms. You don't need to put your high school diploma on your resume once you have a college degree. And everything you've ever done in your life doesn't need to be on the resume. Focus it on what the job is looking for. All right, I said I would talk a little bit more about your summary of qualifications. The summary of qualifications is based on the position you're applying for. It's first on your resume. You write it in bullets, you tailor it to each position, and you use the language in the job posting. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, my niece called me and she said, oh, by the way, I write all my family's resumes. She called me and she said, I found my perfect job online. It was working in the contracts department for media for the New York Yankees. She's a rabid New York Yankee fan. She said, I have to have this job. Her experience, excuse me, this is my allergies. Her experience was in writing contracts for records. Records are a medium. So rather than saying all of her experience was in records, we just changed the word records to media. So it met what they said. She'd done everything they wanted. It was just in the record industry and not media in general. There's not much difference. So it was not lying, it was using their language. So here are some examples from my family's resumes. Motivated by challenges, experienced in diverse areas of financial service industry and thrive in a fast-paced culture. Proven track record working successfully with internal and external customer groups using relationship building skills. Demonstrated skills in communication, critical thinking, analysis, leadership, and decision-making. Work effectively in teams and collaborative environments. Here's another one. Dedicated and sports-driven news enthusiast. Wide range of skills in research, analysis, organization, and broadcast journalism. Proven track record of maintaining high efficiency and productivity. Ability to work effectively and successfully during live broadcasts. Proficiency in meeting tight deadlines and solving problems in high-pressure situations. Communicate effectively across disciplines, strategic and analytical thinker. Skilled professional with extensive marketing management experience in corporate environments and demonstrated strengths in leadership, communication, creative problem solving skills to increase productivity and profitability. Specific areas, develop marketing strategies and campaigns that achieve results, enhance corporate image and branding, create and implement marketing initiatives to support strategy and message, drive exposure at the right level with the right people, complete projects on time and on budget. So all of these things that are listed were things that were part of the skills and requirements in the job interview, picked up on all of the words they used to write the professional profile. The summary of qualifications is designed to help the reader understand the position you're pursuing and what you bring to it. It builds a dynamic case for your fit with the role that is available. An objective statement is static. A summary of qualifications is dynamic. Focus on key points in your resume. Highlight your qualifications based on what they said are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they want, and target it for the desired job. If it doesn't work, they may not read the rest of the resume. They're looking for those key words. If you don't have it up front, they may not read the rest of your resume, which is why this is so important. Under experience, you list your most recent experience first. You start each bullet with a verb. The verb is past tense for previous positions and current tense for current positions. Use only experience relevant to the desired job. If you, for instance, I often see that people put on there answered telephones. Well, you know what? If the job you're looking for doesn't want you to answer telephones, or you don't want to answer them in the future, don't put it on. Only put the things on that get you to the job that you want. And try not to go back more than 10 years. As you're considering your bullets for your experience, focus on accomplishments and tasks rather than responsibilities. You don't want to say things like responsible for. You want to say what you did. I sent out on Monday a list of strong verbs. Use those. It's one of the best lists I've ever found. It divides the strong verbs into different categories. Use that. It will help you. For your experience, you want your full and part-time experience. You want any internships, volunteer work. Here's where those student clubs and organizations come in. When one of my nieces was graduating from college, I forget what she was the communications manager in her sorority at University of Florida. Everything that was on her resume had to do with the sorority, because that's where she had all her experience. I mean, her part-time jobs, we put a little bit in there, but there wasn't much. We just never kept saying that it was at the sorority, but it was that she had leadership skills, communication skills, teamwork skills, and all those things were based on the sorority. So student clubs and organizations are a good thing. Sports teams are a good thing. The high school ones, especially if you were in a leadership position or it was a state championship team. I already mentioned project teams if you've managed them or been on them. But if you've been on a team, don't say you were the manager of the team. You don't want to lie because they can catch you. Education, your highest degree is first. You can put on the anticipated graduation date for your bachelor's degree. And as I said, if you have high school and AA, you don't need high school. You're going to see as I go through some of these desired skills, these are some of the, yes?
You did say the list AA, right?
Yes, definitely list an AA.
Okay, thank you.
As you look at some of these desired skills, these are from the top 10 skills desired by hiring managers. You will see these are many of the exact same words that I put into the summary of qualifications. Work in a team, solve problems, think critically, write proficiently, demonstrate leadership, possess a strong work ethic, good public speaker, good communicator, somebody who can deliver customer service, that you're motivated and have commitment, that you're able to use analysis and adaptability, that you're flexible and focused. So you can see where those can all come in. And more desired skills. Communicate, that you can manage conflicts, critical thinking, ethics, judgment, problem solving, collaboration, confidence, teamwork, cross-cultural abilities. You know, that's a great thing to have these days, is the ability to work cross-culturally. And creativity, positive attitude, take initiative, flexibility. What recruiters look for on resumes. Many resumes today go through an online system. You don't mail a resume like you used to. They go online, you upload it. So they use something called an applicant tracking system that actually rejects 75% of the resumes because it doesn't have the keywords in it that were in the job posting. So that's why it's critical. JobScam and ZipJobs are two other ways that people will review your resume electronically. No one has even seen it yet. If your LinkedIn profile is not well aligned with your resume, that could be a reason that you don't get a job. I know that this is an issue for some people, but your growth and contributions to the job are much more important than getting a degree from a pedigree university. People have asked me in the past, is getting a degree from SPC as good as Harvard? No. But you can make it as good by the way you position yourself and promote yourself. There's very little that's better than, that is equal to a Harvard degree. If you have anything that's unique, interesting, hobbies, interests, experiences, keep that on your resume. Anytime you've improved a process or generated change, keep that on your resume. Create a compelling case for why you're valuable to an organization. Keep your bullets to 3 to 5 per job. If you did the same thing in more than one job, you only say it once and say it in the most recent. Have most bullets on the most recent job. They should be the best match. Keep everything relevant to the desired job. Use those action verbs, accomplishment and achievements, and if you can, use direction words. You know, improved customer satisfaction, increase the number of customers that attended something. Those are all good words. I already said this, everything you have ever done does not need to be on the resume, especially if it's not related to the desired job. Your formatting, use spacing and white space effectively. Don't put so much space that it's too much, but don't have everything crammed together either. You want to make sure that there's some white space to improve readability. Try to keep it to 1 to 2 pages. You know, you can use bold or underlining, but don't use it a lot. If you underline a lot or bold a lot, you basically said everything's important and defeated the purpose of underlining and bolding. You may not think this is a smart thing to do, but it's something I've always done. If there is one typo on a resume, I discard it. I do not go any further. If there's one typo in a cover letter, it's done. I once received for a marketing position that I put an ad out for, 800 resumes. I had HR go through them first and give me only the ones that they thought fit what I was looking for, which got me down to, I think, about 250 resumes. When you have 250 resumes, you can be very critical. And if there was a typo, it went in the no file. If there was, it looked really good, it went in yes. And if it had maybe possibilities, I put it in the maybe pile. I had so many in the yes pile, I never even got to the maybe pile. So then I had to go through it again because I was not interviewing more than 10 people. So look for typos. By the way, on this particular job, I had the job was paying, I think it was about $50,000 or $60,000 a year. And I had a call from somebody who said, I didn't receive a call from you for having an interview. I said, well, who are you? He told me. I said, well, that's because you asked for $125 minimum and this job's paying $50,000 to $60,000. So I wasn't going to interview you. He said, but you don't understand. I am so good that if you brought me in for an interview, you would be willing to pay me $125,000. I said, no, I wouldn't. It's not in my budget. I'm not taking it away to pay for you. You don't understand how good I am. And I said, and I never will. And that I hung up. References. Don't put them on your resume, but contact people in advance. This is critical. You want to let them know what the job is you're applying for and tell them what you want them to say, the things that you want them to focus on. I got a call, maybe 2 years ago, from somebody who had not worked for me for 20 years. She called and she said, can you help me with being a reference? I said, absolutely. I said, tell me what the job is. Tell me the things you want to make sure I say. I wrote everything down she told me. I'm going to tell you 20 minutes after I got off the phone with her, the phone rang. They were checking her references. And they said, they asked me questions. I made sure I got in everything that she wanted. And at the end, they said to me, would you ever hire her again? I said, in a heartbeat, I would hire her. I said, but I know she's not moving to Florida. This is when I was in Boston. And I said, and the guy said to me, is there anything more you want to say to me? I said, yeah, you'd be out of your mind not to hire her. She called me 20 minutes later. She was hired. It's okay to go back, but you have to let people know. Ageism is real. There are people out there who will not hire people who have too much experience. A lot of the people, go ahead, David.
About the references. I can't really use any of mine since they are mostly the military, and I have no idea where they are now.
Okay. One thing you might want to do is, look them up on Google or LinkedIn and see if you can find some of them. You might be able to. And are you working right now?
No, full-time student.
Okay. So what you need to do is think about also personal references.
I have those. It's
okay.
Work
I just did a personal reference for a friend of mine who was looking for a new job, and she gave her my name. I had a fabulous 40-minute conversation with who is now her new boss. So personal references can be okay too.
So like professors?
You have to be careful of that because we're not allowed to write anything on letterhead stationery, and we have to be real careful about references for students. I try not to give any until after somebody's graduated, just to make sure it's legit.
Okay.
But you have to be real careful of that. So
okay.
Ageism, you got to rethink. How are you going to say what you need to say and not make yourself aged? You want to refresh your resume. You want to renew the things that you've done, re-energize yourself, and definitely remove anything that ages you. I do not have the years that I earned any of my degrees on my resume. As I said, I also take the first 30 years of my experience off my resume because otherwise they'll never even look at me. And so here are tips for older workers. Focus on your accomplishments in your summary of qualifications. Don't fudge the format. Don't try to do something different because people know what that means. Keep your skills and technology updated. Focus on any success and growth that you've had over the years. Remove those graduation dates. As I said, mine are not on. And if you've done training or conferences or been members of organizations, those are all good things to have on your resume as well. Focus on your advantages, your experience, your reliability. One of the things older job seekers have to do is get out of their own way. They have a mindset sometimes that they're not going to look at me. Get that out of your head. Own your own story. Be relevant to what they're looking for. And don't fear failure if you're not trying. You are a failure if you're not trying. Gaps, volunteer work. Renew your professional contacts, don't lie. And this is the category I said that I create on my resume. It's called Other Professional Experience. In that section, I have things that I took off my resume from many years ago, but they're things that will not ever come off my resume because they're unique and they give me some different experiences. So for instance, one is that I was a campaign manager for a state Senate candidate and worked on a US Senate campaign. Both of them were winning campaigns. I'm not going to tell you who it was or how long ago it was, but I leave that on my resume. Another thing that doesn't come off my resume is that I led an executive study mission to Japan for executives to visit Deming Prize winning companies. Deming is the #1 quality prize in Japan. I led that study mission and we had an opportunity to walk the production line at Toyota. Another thing that doesn't come off is that I lobbied the state legislature on education issues. So things that are different than other people have done, if you've got those things, put in another category if your experience is too long ago. Here are some SPC resources for you. Some more SPC resources. And here's a checklist. Make sure your resume is easy to read. It's visually appealing. You use conservative colors. Please don't give me a resume with pink and orange on it. And you laugh. I get them.
I've seen a resume that was written on bright pink paper with I think it was teal font. It stood out, but yeah.
It can stand out in other ways. That is not the way to get it to stand out. You don't want to put too many graphics. The graphics I would put on perhaps are the symbols for LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that, you could put those graphics on your resume. Don't put a picture on your resume.
Can I ask a question about, mine is, I mean, I'm an artist.
Right.
So wouldn't you expect something kind of out of the box and not
Yes.
traditional and conservative? Okay.
I would expect something that is quite visually appealing, that probably uses color effectively. I definitely would expect something that is a little bit less conservative from somebody who's an artist.
Okay.
This happened years ago. I got a resume. It was the best resume I've ever received. It was for a graphic designer position. The resume came in a pizza box. The outside of the pizza box was the name and the contact information for the person. And then inside were slices of pizza. It looked like a pizza. On the other side, each slice was something else, experience or education. It was brilliant. I brought the person in for an interview, and he was such a terrible interviewer, but boy, did he know how to create an effective resume.
I did one of those folding, like, answer questions, like question and answers. I did one of those where it folded up, and I sent it to them, and it was cute. It was out of the box. It was different. And then when
Well, did you send it in a box so it was already formed?
It was
or did
already
they have to-
folded up. I hand delivered it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes in the box is a good thing. Because if a resume comes in a box as opposed to an envelope, it stands out.
Yes. Yeah.
I already said correct spelling and grammar and reverse order. More on the checklist. Action verbs, minimal use of bold, italics, and underlining. Get the words I, we, are, us, me, my off a resume. It's inappropriate. You can put it in a cover letter, but don't have it in a resume. Only the hobbies that are relevant to the job and keywords from the posting. Top half is most important, that summary of qualifications. If you don't capture their attention there, you may not get them to read the rest. It needs to be detailed, it needs accomplishments and aligned with the requirements. Ineffective bullets. I was promoted to lead a team and we exceeded goals. Processing payroll and inputting required information. Responsible for inventory control. Answer incoming calls. Plan and coordinate events. Was in charge of revamping business development, resulting in 67% lift in sales. Now there's some good stuff in there, but here's the better way of writing it. Promoted to team lead and exceeded goals. Processed payroll and input as opposed to processing and inputting. Managed inventory, rather than answering phones, assisted customers. Planned and coordinated events, raising 40K annually. Revamped business development strategy, resulting in 67% increase in sales.
It's good to quantify, right?
Absolutely. If you've got those numbers, quantify. If you don't, that's when you use the directional words. Most used format, a heading with your name and contact information. Make sure you have at least one phone number and one email address. Your sum of your qualifications, your experience and education. Some people like to put education before experience, which is fine, and any additional professional experience. Any questions about resumes? All right, let me go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is huge. It is the largest professional social media platform. It is, if you will, Facebook for business. It is a great source for finding jobs. It's a great source for finding people that you may have lost connection with. Let me tell you what I did a few years ago. I was working on my doctoral dissertation. I was working with an association that told me they would get me all the people I needed for my research. Well, guess what? They didn't. I still needed 50 more surveys filled out. I needed 2 per organization. I sent a message on LinkedIn to everyone who I knew in the industry because it was an industry topic. Some of them I hadn't seen in 25 years. I'm going to tell you that in 1 week, I had all my surveys filled out. Everybody said, yes, I'd love to. Thank you for asking. Can I get the results? I couldn't believe how fast it worked. That's why I'm saying to you, David, if you've lost touch with some people, see if you can find them on LinkedIn. Lots of people are there. It's really, you just type in their name and see if you can find it. And if you have their, you know, if their name's John Smith, it's a problem. But if they have an,
part of the problem with the military too, I know their last names and I don't remember their first.
okay.
We all go by last name. I didn't use my first name for 10 years.
You know, try looking them up in Google. Lots of people can be found in Google. Try looking them up in other places and see if, you know, if anything matches, you know, that they were in the military at the same time you were. You may have to do some research, but you might be able to find some people. And, you know, anybody you still are in contact with in the military, see if they remember anybody's name.
What about where he was drafted from or where he signed up from?
I did not spend much time in Louisiana. I went to Texas and then spent about 5 years in Minot, North Dakota. Everyone tried to get out of there and we really didn't talk to each other.
Well, that may make it easier because maybe a whole lot of people weren't in North Dakota. So if you find people have a North Dakota connection, it might be the right person.
Why not? My not.
Reason's the reason.
Once you get your profile up to the way you want it, that you think it's good enough, it doesn't have to be perfect, connect with people that you know. Connect with people who are connected to people you know. Exchange knowledge, ideas, opportunities. Recommend others. LinkedIn has an area where you can recommend other people. You don't have to say anything. You just click on their name and click on like leadership, communication, training. You just click on those things and you've recommended them. What my experience has been is anytime I recommend somebody, they turn around and recommend me. Anybody who recommends me, I turn around and recommend them. It's a great way to build your LinkedIn number of connections. There literally are organizations that look to see how many people you're connected with because they want people who are connected. So you need to build that up. There's a standard message that says, I'd like to connect with you. Don't send that to anyone unless they're your best friend. Send a personal message. Say, I'd like to connect with you because I got your name from so-and-so said we ought to connect. I don't connect to anyone who I don't know who sends me one of the standard messages. But if they tell me why they want to connect with me, I usually say yes. So don't just send that standard message. Create job alerts or apply for jobs. A lot of jobs are listed through LinkedIn. And Krista, you probably could find a lot of people looking for graphic designers through LinkedIn. So use it. Stay in touch with colleagues and friends. As I already said, it really worked for me. Find experts and ideas. People literally write articles on LinkedIn. They're not great for your research for school, but they're great for getting new ideas. You could follow companies or industries or people. If there's a kind of job that you know you want, when you finish, start following them. If there's companies that you always wanted to work for, follow them. You can research the competition and develop lots of connections. This is a quote from the Wall Street Journal. In today's executive search market, if you're not on LinkedIn, you don't exist. A strong profile gives you a higher ranking. You want your industry, your location, current position, past two most relevant positions, your education, some skills. You want a professional headshot. Now, I realize right now nobody can really go out and get a professional headshot if you don't have one. But once the campus opens up again, SPC does do professional headshots, so go get one. I'm pretty sure they're at the Clearwater campus. And get as many connections as you can. To get results, use keywords, sort of like search engine optimization. Optimize your profile. Use groups. There are groups for SPC. There are all kinds of groups. There are military groups. There's probably a military group that you can join for people who were stationed in North Dakota. Maybe you'll find people that way. Build your network as much as you can. Give and get recommendations and keep your profile updated. The do's and don'ts. You want a professional headshot. You want to dress appropriately, and you want a simple background. You do not want a selfie. You don't want to crop people out of the picture. You don't want your dog. You don't want your bicycle. You don't want an old picture, and it should be a formal picture. For strong headlines, use the industry buzzwords or some of the things that I gave you about critical thinking, communication skills. Put those things in there because that's what people look for. If you're not sure how to market yourself, find somebody else who you like the way they're marketing themselves and copy them. You want to summarize your professional experience. It should represent you in a few paragraphs. You want to have your experience. It's similar to a resume in reverse chronological order, and it can be bulleted or formatted in paragraph. Okay, let me do overqualified. If you think that you're applying for something that you're overqualified, but you want to change industries, sometimes when people have a lot of experience, but they want to do something different, there might be overqualified. Explain why you're applying for the position, research the company in depth. It is so easy to research a position these days. Years ago, I went for a job and I tried everything I could think of to find information on the company. They were privately held. I found nothing. When I got there and they said, do you have any questions? I said, you know, this is the research that I did to try and find information on you, and I found nothing. And they were so blown away by how much research I had done. I think that's why I got the job. Be consistent in interviews. You may be interviewed by more than one person in a company. Company I used to work for, you had to interview with 5 or 6 people. Company I moved to Florida for, you had to do a group interview. I had to do a presentation to, unbeknownst to me at the time, it was everyone who would be reporting to me was in the presentation. So be prepared for doing all kinds of things. Show openness and flexibility. Talk about the things you want to learn and ask your references to discuss your commitment, your flexibility, your learning, why age shouldn't be a factor or overqualification shouldn't be. Now, we've been on for an hour, so you're probably tired. I just want to show you what else is here that you can look at on your own in case it's interesting to you. There used to be a requirement in this class that you had to go out and do a networking event. Obviously, since nobody can go out, we had to eliminate that qualification or requirement. So there's some stuff on networking, how to do it better, 30-second elevator speeches. There's some information on cover letters, online applications, and some information on interviewing skills. So this is here for you if you want to take a look at it. It might be helpful, maybe not right now, but down the road. And so all that on interviewing. And then if you got no interview, if you had interviews but didn't get any offers, maybe you don't know what went wrong. So here's some things that could have gone wrong. And wonderful quote from Walt Disney, all of our dreams can come true if you have courage to pursue them. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Questions on anything due in week 6? The resume, LinkedIn, presentation.
So all we have to do with my PowerPoint, since my key success factors were, I have it here, your notes. I just want to ask a quick question about it.
If I said there needed measures, then you have to put some measures in or directional words.
I got directional words. I'm just saying, maybe you didn't, maybe. Oh, you didn't say anything about it. Never mind. No, you didn't say anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Lou? David? Krista? Okay, so everybody feels all set? I'm not going to go anywhere this week. Big surprise. So if you have any questions, please be sure to drop me an email and I will respond as quickly as I can to get you what you need. Chester?
This is our last class meeting, Doctor.
It is.
All right.
Okay.
Because next week, your resume is due on Tuesday, and that's it.
Okay, Doc. Well, then I want to say I had fun with all of you guys. I like you guys. And Doc, you've been a blessing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
Lou.
Doctor.
Bye, Krista. Bye, David.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Doc.
Okay, oops. Let's stop.